We will now begin the proceedings of today's hearing to answer the question, is milk really healthy? David, I believe you are here today to represent the cows. James, I believe you are here today to represent the humans. David, if you would like to begin with your arguments on behalf of the cows. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Whenever we are asking the question, is milk really healthy? We're always asking it from the perspective of the humans. We're never really looking at it from the perspective of the cows. Today, I am representing my client, the cows, and their interests. And the question I'm going to pose today is humans drinking milk really healthy for the cows? I'll begin my argumentation with the cows' core argument. Regardless of whether milk is healthy for humans or not, it is unnecessary for humans to drink it. Humans can get all of their nutrition from plant-based sources. The cows do accept that they are inferior when it comes to the intellectual space. However, they would like to remind you that they do experience a wide variety of emotions, have personalities, and experience pain and suffering in a very similar way to the way we humans do. Plants, on the other hand, don't have a central nervous system or a brain, so they experience none of the things I just mentioned. The cows state that as we can get all nutrients from plant-based sources, humans should do this rather than continuing to breed them and use them for their milk. Thank you, David. James, you are representing humans. Would you like to make any counter-arguments at this point? Yes, I do. Milk tastes good. Thank you, James. David? Yes, the cows agree that their milk tastes good. However, they don't believe that the taste is a good enough reason to keep them in captivity and keep using their bodies for milk. They argue that many things are pleasurable, enjoyable, but that alone doesn't justify doing them. Other examples would include murderers or people who enjoy violence. Their pleasure and enjoyment of the act doesn't justify the act. At this point, the cows predict that the opposition will say this is a false equivalency and that milking cows is not violent, whereas those acts are violent. The cows would like to preemptively counter this argument with this pre-prepared statement. Breeding animals into a life of captivity for personal gain is an act of violence. Cows are in fact killed in the dairy industry, as the industry sells them to the meat and leather industries when their milk production declines or if they suffer from an injury. Every cow in the dairy industry will end their life being shot in the head in a slaughterhouse. The cows believe their lives are more important than the pleasure that a human gets from drinking their milk. The opposition now may respond. Yes, thank you. Cheese tastes good. Yes, of course. David, we already dealt with this point. If you just refer to the last point I made about the taste of milk being good, if you can apply the same logic to this point, cheese tasting good is not a justification to keep doing this to cows. James, do you have another argument? But we need milk for tea and cereal. Very good points, James. David, could you respond? My client understands that humans have grown accustomed to putting milk in tea and on breakfast cereal. They acknowledge the strong emotional attachment humans have to these practices. They would, however, suggest that humans use one of the many alternatives to cow's milk, such as hemp milk, rice milk, oat milk, soya milk, pea milk, peanut milk, hazelnut milk. There are many of them. You can make these milks at home at a fraction of the cost that you would pay in a supermarket. They're very easy to make. Okay. James? Change is hard, and we don't want to change. David? My client is sympathetic and understands that change can be difficult for many, but they would kindly request that you divert your attention to the past for just a few moments. They would like to highlight to you just how many groups in society have benefited from changes to the old societal norms that we have had in the past. There are now many groups in our society that are living a much better life thanks to these societal changes that have been made throughout history. The cows would like to be one of these groups of individuals that enjoy such a change. Currently, they are forced to breed as they only produce milk when they have given birth. Farmers don't leave this to chance. They actually artificially inseminate the cows, which involves inserting one hand into their anus and inserting a needle into their vagina and injecting semen into them. When she gives birth, her calves are taken away because the farmers want to sell the milk and the calf wants to drink the milk. And as you can imagine, the calf wanting to drink the milk is not good for profit. And remember, when the dairy industry is finished with her, they will send her to a slaughterhouse. And even if none of this was happening, my client, the cows, maintain that holding them in captivity and using their bodies for profit is, in fact, an act of violence. My client asserts that although change is hard in the short term, it becomes much easier in the long term as new habits are formed, and that this change is not only necessary, but it is a moral obligation. After hearing the arguments from both sides, I have to say I'm inclined to agree with David and the case of the cows. James, do you have any final points or arguments to make that you think could sway my decision?
Yes, I believe I do. Milk tastes really good.
Ah, yes, of course, what was I thinking? After hearing and reviewing the arguments from both sides, I have decided to rule in favour of the humans. James, thank you for your brilliant arguments. Case closed, this hearing is now over. What the fuck?
You can get everything you need to be healthy and happy without using any animal. Why would you not choose to live that way? Click the link in the pinned comment to get free access to a vegan starter pack that will give you everything you need to go vegan right now. Do the right thing. Stop making excuses and start making changes.